I'm Audra Yankton, empowerment and intuition coach, and this is Unveil You, the podcast where spirituality meets practicality to help you step fully into your power. Each episode, we'll talk about what it really means to align with your higher self, trust your inner knowing, and walk through life with grounded, soul-led confidence. Let's get into it. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Unveil You podcast. I'm here with Indra Kelly for a beautiful part 2 of our conversation on first part was intuition, and now today we're going to be talking about the clairs. So we're going to go deeper into what the different clairs are so that you can start to understand how you are uniquely downloading information from the universe and can start using that more intentionally if you aren't ready. So Indra, again, is the beautiful intuitive life coach that I have met in the spiritual space. And I am, again, so honored and grateful that you're here with me to continue on with this amazing conversation. So Indra, first thing I want to ask you, for anybody unaware, what are the clairs? What the heck am I talking about when I say that?
Well, hello. Okay, so the clair senses, there's clairsentience, which is a clear sense of feeling. Clairvoyance, which is a clear sense of seeing. Clairaudience is hearing. And claircognizant is knowing. So it's a clear sense of knowing. And by knowing, it's just like that gut feeling that we know that something is going to happen. So those would be the 4 top most common clair senses that people have or have heard of.
Okay. And so obviously, like, there's a lot of different types, right? Like we just listed 4 here. These are the 4 main ones, by the way. There's like a lot of other random different ways that people do experience their intuition, but we'll talk about these 4 today. They're kind of the main ones. But why do some people experience intuition differently than others? Why don't all of us, like for example, I'm very claircognizant, but a clairaudient, that's not a thing for me. Like I don't hear stuff. So, but some people, all they do is hear and they don't get the cognizant part. So why is everybody so different from the other when it comes to how they're downloading information?
Well, it's just, some people are right-handed and some people are left-handed, right? Mm-hmm. So, if we're going to get into like the woo part, it's that we all had these different clair senses in other lifetimes, and maybe our clairvoyancy wasn't as strong in another lifetime. So in this lifetime, that's going to be our strong one. Or that's the one that we're going to work on in this lifetime. And we're all different. So, there's so many people that I work with that don't have a clairvoyant ability, but they are really, really strong with their claircognizant. But working with me and teaching them, like I help them strengthen those other ones. So it's not that you don't have them at all. You just need to strengthen it like a muscle. So, it's like you go to the gym, you see, the guy, and he's got huge biceps, right? Because he's working on his arms all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So that could be like his claircognizant. But like his legs are like wimpy and skinny.
And he's skipping leg day. No.
Right. And he's not doing leg day ever. And that could be his clairvoyant, right? So he's just not using it because he's so used to using the claircognizant. So it's about really like, you can have it and have it be strong, or you may think you don't have it, but it's just a little weaker. And mm-hmm. It takes practice to build it. And it could take time. And it could be quickly.
Would you say, like, even as people do intentionally work on and develop different clair senses, that they will always throughout life have one dominant clair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we don't like, do we need to develop every clair to be able to have this like wonderful relationship with the universe?
No, you don't need to develop every clair. Some just come really naturally and some don't. And the most important part is that you do have that clair sense that you can rely on, right? That one clair sense that helps you trust all your decisions. And that's like your go-to. And you're like, okay, when this is on, I feel it. And this is how I'm going to move through my day, my life, and make my decisions. and that could be claircognizant. Some people have a really strong clairsentient, which is a clear sense of feeling, right? But their claircognizant might be really weak. Or they could be really strong with their claircognizant, and their clairsentient would be really weak. So with those two clairs, it's either one stronger than the other, vice versa.
Oh, yeah, because I was going to say that was actually a really great segue into now we're actually going to go deeper on these 4 clairs. So the first one being clairsentience, as you were just referencing. This is supposedly, the most relatable for a lot of people, right? Whether or not you realize you're clairsentient, you probably are. So what does it mean then to truly be clairsentient, and how can the everyday person recognize this in their life today?
So the clairsentient person, they feel things. They feel things immediately. They can walk into a room and they feel all of the emotions. They can walk up to a person and immediately know, okay, this person is having a really bad day, without even having like a word be spoken. And it's this innate sense that you have, you're connecting with somebody and you're feeling their feelings. Now, the most important part of clairsentience, which we touched on in the previous episode, is recognizing what is yours and what is theirs. And people with this clairsentient ability, oftentimes do hold on to and misunderstand what the emotion is, and if it's theirs or if it's theirs. And so understanding that when you're in these situations and you are feeling other people's feelings, or when you just have a feeling, maybe there's just like a feeling inside of you, right? That just that feels uneasy. Also like another part, and it's kind of like clairsentience, it's also a little bit more of like clairempathy. So a lot of people would have, like, if someone has a headache, right? So if you and I are sitting across from each other and you have a headache, I might start to feel that headache out of nowhere. And so I could just ask, be like, Audra, do you have a headache right now? Like, is everything okay? And be like, oh my gosh, I have a really bad headache, and I don't know how much of like the average clairsentient person would have this. I have this ability but then maybe I'm also sending energy to that person as well, healing their headache. So these are just different levels of that clairsentient ability.
So when somebody, this is obviously very like body connected, Claire. So I think we all are familiar with like, strong gut feelings or anxiety pangs in the chest, but maybe what are some other common sensations throughout the body that people might be feeling that maybe they're not connecting to clairsentience right now?
Oh, I love it. So clairsentient. So yes, we do get like the body sensations. We get like chills or tingles. Sometimes we get hot. Sometimes people feel like a little bit of pressure on their third eye. An exercise that I love to teach my clients or students who are expanding into intuition is that our guides can speak to us through sensations in our bodies. So it's learning that kind of communication too. So with this like clairsentience ability, you can ask your guides to show you yes and no answers in your body, and you will receive these like body sensations. So I know for me, when my yes, when I ask my guides to show me yes, what does that feel like in my body? I get like tingles. I have a client that moves. She moves back and forth. That's her yes. I just variations of so many different things. And then you can ask your guides, show me a sensation for no. And what does that feel like in my body? So it's really about connecting with your body. That's the clairsentience. It's being able to feel and connect.
I'm glad you brought this up because I've actually intentionally done this exercise before because I'm very familiar with strong gut feelings and anxiety pangs or like, the very like urgent, like deal with this right now kind of feelings. But I didn't know like the subtle yeses and nos. So I do want to point out too, like how the no's can be like an absence of the feeling, an absence of the yes, because when I tuned in, I get a feeling if it's a yes, like if I'm asking a question to my guides and the answer is yes, like I'll get kind of like this like it's like a vibration in my left hand almost, like specifically my left hand, not my right one. I can identify it. But
Right.
then frustratingly, it's like when it's a no, it's just like I feel nothing. And like you have to really learn how to trust that nothing feeling, that it's a no. You know what I mean?
Right. My no is like a subtle, like it's like feels like a weight in the in my gut at the bottom,
Oh.
and so with clairsentience, when you are in that space and you're intentionally listening to your body, you have to be aware of just the very subtle moves, and then you can test it again. Like, okay, well, I felt a weight in the bottom of my stomach. That might be my no. Let me ask again. And so you'll ask again, and then all of a sudden you feel like that weight in the pit of your stomach again, for me at least. And that's my no, but it's so subtle. It's so subtle that if I wasn't paying attention, or if I didn't trust it, you would miss it.
I got this advice one time too, that if it is so subtle that you almost could miss it, to like ask your guides, like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm feeling like this sensation in my left hand, but they said to literally visualize like a radio dial in your head. Like,
Turn it up.
turn it up 50% and see the dial turn up 50%, and then it works. It's crazy. It'll like actually amplify the feeling. Yeah. So, feel free to play around with that. It's really fun to like, I don't know. And yeah, you could say you're just making it all up, but it happens every time I do it. So it's gotta be real, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Well, again, that is clairsentience, kind of the one I think most people can, whether or not you're intentionally tuning in, a lot of us feel all the time. So love that we're kind of setting the stage with that. Let's talk about clairvoyance a little bit, like this inner seeing. The first thing I want to ask about this then is like, this gets portrayed like very dramatically in movies. Like it's, people just like, oh, they're just frozen. They're like, oh, I'm seeing this thing. And it's very dramatic. What does this actually look like in practice for the everyday intuitive?
Well, so clairvoyant is like, clairvoyant is something, it's magical, it's special. So a lot of people, this is one way to gauge to see if you are clairvoyant, is when you read a book, and as you're reading the book, you can see it playing out in your mind's eye, right? So you see the scenery. So if you're reading, like, I don't know, let's say, for instance, a Little Red Riding Hood, right? And you're reading it, and you can see this scenery. You can see the woods, you see and it's not a picture book. It's just words. And you can see the scenery, you can see the wolf, it's playing out in your mind like a movie. And that's a sign of clairvoyance. So it's an active imagination, but what you're doing is you're allowing your imagination to play out so that you can see it. So either maybe it's flashes, or maybe it looks like a movie, however that looks like to you. And as you start to work with your clairvoyance, you really start to have to trust. You have to trust that you're allowing your imagination to collaborate with your spirit team, your guides, your angels, your higher selves, your loved ones. And you have to allow them to use this tool, what we as humans, right? We call it imagination. You have to allow them to collaborate with you in this space and to make the scene so that they can show you the messages in that form of that clairsense. So you're seeing either like I said, like a movie play out, or maybe it's a flash of something it looks like a picture or a scene, or however it comes up for you, is not to disregard it, put it away, and not trust it. Always trust it, because they are showing you. And then the more you trust it, and the more you allow them to kind of play with you in that way, the more they're going to do it, and the more clarity you're going to get from that, using that clairsense.
I think I've heard some people describe like what they see as like looking like an Etch-a-Sketch too. Like it doesn't always look like this like cinematic movie in their head. Sometimes it's just, if you're seeing something, or like, and I see a lot of colors sometimes, like energy translates to color in my head. So I'll kind of like see or talk to somebody or whatever, and it's like I can like see a color that, like yellow I associate with like brightness and happiness. So if I'm seeing yellow, it probably has something to do with like that energy
Right. A
about
lot of people
them.
like,
So
yeah, seeing auras or like
yeah.
seeing colors. And like, like every color is different for that person. It's what that color represents for you because we're learning a language with our spirit team. So what happiness, what, like that might be orange for me, whereas it's yellow for you. So color is never, I wouldn't say never, but color is oftentimes not the same for one person as it is for another person because we're learning the language, we're communicating with our spirit team. So
Right. They'll meet you where you're at specifically as an individual. Like you and I can tune into the same energy, like you were just saying, and yeah, see totally different colors, but to us, the meaning is the same with
yes,
those different colors. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It's so great. Also, your guides will show you. It's almost like playing like charades sometimes where they'll show you something and you're like, why are you showing me a kitty cat coffee cup? It's like, and then I say it to a client, I'm like, they're showing me this kitty cat coffee cup. They're like, oh my gosh, that's my grandmother. She had this kitty cat coffee cup and whatever it is. But then it's like, I'm questioning it too. I'm like, this is
yeah.
so weird. Like I'm not going to tell this person I'm seeing enchiladas, right? And I'm like, why are they showing me enchiladas? Like I'm at a Mexican restaurant. We're sitting down. There's a bunch of enchiladas in front of me. This is so wild. And I told my client, I was like, he keeps showing me enchiladas. She's like, she started crying. Her husband had passed away and she started crying and she's like, we used to go to this Mexican restaurant every Saturday for 20
Aw.
years. That was their spot. And he was reminiscing. He was like showing memory and
That's
like
so
recognition
nice.
of like this of their time. 20 years every Saturday going to this Mexican restaurant. That's what they did.
It's so funny. Yeah, like yeah, the more I play with it too, sometimes as I'm developing more clairvoyance like with intention, it is funny the stuff that comes through. It like can make you doubt yourself completely that you even know what you're talking about. You're like, I like for you, we were doing a practice last week and I was saying like something about you like getting potentially a part-time job at some shop and you're like, no, absolutely not. That does not resound whatsoever. And I'm like,
Like I'm not
I was like, but I
shocked.
see you like in like a shop. It's like kind of like a spiritual shop. Like, I don't know, like tarot crystal, something like that. I don't know. And you're like, no, absolutely not. And then fun fact, everybody, turns out she went to a shop a few days later and it wasn't her working at the shop so much as doing like some virtual readings for people in collaboration with the shop. So
Right,
it's
right.
hard to trust yourself though, especially when like the client you could say is not giving you like the feedback like that you want to hear.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
Well, because like your guides will show you, they're like, okay, this is what it is. And then you're
Mhm.
like, and then in your head, because of ego and whatever else, you're trying to like you figure it out. And you're like, wait, I'm not working like what I mean, is like selling socks to somebody? Like, what am I doing at this shop? Like, where am I? Is it retail? Like, what's happening? Like, why am I at the shop? Why do you see me at the shop?
Yep.
And you're like, I don't know. I see you at the shop. It's like a spiritual shop. It's like, I'm like thinking, I'm like, how is this even going to happen? And I didn't even think about it. It didn't even cross my mind. I walked into the shop and we all got to talking and they're like, oh my God, can we have you like do this, And I was like, I want to do this. This is great. And so it was like a beautiful collaboration, but that's how it worked out. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, and my guides are probably rolling their eyes. They're like, oh my gosh, like just.
It's so funny too because it was like such an ego test for me because like clairvoyance is so like new for me. I really in the last year have wanted more clairvoyance because I'm like this is such a fun one. It's so cool like because being claircognizance cool because I get instant information but it doesn't have the color and prettiness around it. So I was like I want to be able to see stuff and now I can see how it's both a blessing and a curse, right? Like because you see stuff but like how many of us can witness the same thing happen and like have a different take on it. Like seeing is actually not all that clear sometimes. So anyway, that was like a huge
Sometimes it isn't,
ego
but
test.
sometimes it is. And like saw this person and I was doing a reading and I saw this woman and saw her clear as day. And then and the information that I delivered was slightly off because I couldn't figure out this role that this woman played. And then I saw a picture of her I was like, oh, that's her. I mean, that is her. That's like everything about her. I'm like, this is the person I saw. I'm like, who is this person? And they're like, this is the person that you, and then it all started, like the dots started connecting.
Mm-hmm. It's usually that one, missing puzzle piece that
Yeah.
kind of like clicks
Yeah.
it all together. Like you walking into a shop finally
I know.
after
I had to
everything
walk into
tell
the
you about
shop.
that, and you're like, oh, okay. It turns out Audra like wasn't just totally making
I
stuff
know.
up there, but
You
yeah,
got to
that's
do
what I was gonna say. That
information.
was that. It was this huge ego test for me of like, can you believe that you have these abilities, even when someone says like, absolutely not. Almost that kind of messed with me for a while. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, I clearly don't know what I'm doing here. So yeah, that was funny. It's funny how the validation will come back around.
Come back around. Yeah. I love
Validate
a
your
good,
readers, people. It's helpful. Like,
I love a good confirmation every now and then. I'm like, woo, okay.
it's so funny. Okay, so that's clairvoyance. Next one we'll talk about then is the one that I arguably have like zero experience with. So I'm very interested in this topic, clairaudience. So what is it, and how does the intuitive hearing typically begin for people, or what does this look like in practice?
Okay, so with clairaudience, it's the clear sense of hearing. So you're going to hear like a little something, right? And it's usually like in the back of your head. When I'm coaching, I describe it more as like it's like in the right back of your head, and it's not going to be up here in the front. It's also not going to come in with urgency. So your clairaudience is going to come in very quietly. It's like your intuition. It's going to come in very quietly. It's going to come in gently. Sometimes it repeats itself. These guides of yours and loved ones love to repeat themselves until you actually say it, hear it, feel it, all the things, right? So they're like, did you hear me? Did you hear me? Did you hear me? I said this. Did you hear me? I said this again. And it's going to
Make
keep
you feel
repeating.
crazy till you
Right.
acknowledge it.
Yeah. So it's like, you might hear like, call Peter, call Peter, call Peter. And it's like, why does this keep, it's like a bug, like, flying around. And so you call Peter and maybe something's going on, with him and you've got to call him. But, so clairaudience usually comes from the back right. It does not come in with urgency. It comes in with calmness. Your guides won't, ever talk, negative to you. They always come in with love. So if it is something that is negative sounding, or if you feel like, like as you get comfortable with your guides, they can be a little sassy, but that's like later.
Still feel loving weirdly though. Yeah, you'll know.
Right. But they come in lovely, and they don't come in with judgment, and that's how you can tell the difference. Also, your clairaudience will have the same idea of a voice as you. It's going to sound like you. It's
like the inner narrator that a lot of us have, which, fun fact, I heard some people don't have that. But
well, maybe that's why we're all like the that's a sign of a clairaudient, right?
Yeah, so exactly.
That inner chatter, or hear that inner voice. So as you become more of a seasoned, clairaudient, the voices will change. You'll be able to decipher who, is that this guide or that guide, by the voice. But it will always be your kind of voice, because as you start doing it, it would be so alarming to us to have this like voice come in. It's like, Indra, it's like, what is that?
Who is this man in my head?
Yeah. Right. And so that's alarming. So it's going to come in, it's going to sound a lot like yours. An exercise that I love to do with clients is like the Clair, or the automatic writing, right? So you ask a question, you go into meditation, and you write down what you hear. And you're connecting with higher self. You're connecting with your guides. You're very intentional on how you do it. You quiet the mind and the body. You find your stillness. You're in meditation. You ask your question. You connect with your guides, and you do some automatic writing. And that's just allowing them to channel what the information is into your hearing it. It's almost like as you're like transcribing, right, what you hear from somebody else. And that would be what automatic writing is. It's a beautiful exercise to add to your spiritual practice.
That's really interesting. That actually makes me think, hearing all of that explained to me, that I'm like, maybe I am more clairaudient than I think, because I think I am claircognizant dominantly, which we're about to talk about, but it can come through in the form of clairaudience though sometimes for me, now that you put it that way. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and as we step into claircognizant, claircognizance is that knowing. So it's that gut feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that could be what guides you through your automatic writing. So it may not be like full on clairaudient. You might just know what to write
I think
because
that might be what it is too.
yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
where you just know and you don't know how to explain it. And what I love about the claircognizant is that I've heard this before and it resonates so well. And it's like our future self echoing back to us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we've already been there, done that, here to whatever, right? And it's just like that echo that comes back to us. And it's like, oh, we already know this because we did it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a gut knowing. It's
Because
just
again, time only exists on Earth, right? So if everything has already happened outside of Earth, or time doesn't exist, it's like, yeah, you're just accessing basically a future memory that you've in
right.
theory already experienced. But here on Earth, we have to move through time and space. So it just goes
Well,
slower,
like
right?
on Earth, as a human, we have time because it helps us organize our day to day,
Yeah.
right? Like, so if we didn't have time, we'd all be like, doing whatever. But we have time because it helps organize our day. But time does not exist. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and it's stacked on top of each other and it's not linear. It's linear in the minds of us because that's how we can wrap our head around it and understand. So we're talking about past lives as if it's happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But really, like everything is happening all at once. It's just stacked on top of each other. So we're just receiving so much info because our soul is just connected. It's like just fractals.
I know a lot of people, and even myself, like it's taken me a really long time to understand what the concept of time is, like here on Earth versus like other dimensions, right? And it's some way that really resounded with me how it was put to me is like, if you're familiar how like X-rays work, or like you do like a CAT scan, right? And if to look at something is just like a little tiny slice of a big huge image, right? Like you're
Yeah.
just looking at different slices. I'm like, that's essentially what, if you could put your life in one like CAT scan reading, it's like the time you moved through is just different slices of the same like CAT scan essentially. So it's a way for you to be able to like earmark different stuff that has happened and like how you're gonna get there, or like you're just literally moving through this big image in a sense. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's helpful for people, but that helped me a lot because I was like, this is blowing my mind and I do not
Oh,
understand.
right. I mean, it all blows my mind. So in any way that you can understand it, that's the way. Like that's what your guides are showing you how to
Hmm.
understand it. Because this is all
Absolutely.
mind-blowing stuff. They're like talking about like, quantum entanglement and, all of the other these things. And it's like, how does this make sense? Well, science is finally catching up.
Hmm.
And and people are catching up with science. I remember like people are like, oh, quantum physics, you never take that class, right? Had I known what quantum physics really was, I would have been like, me, I'll
Oh, totally, totally. I
right.
remember this guy I was dating in college tried to talk to me about quantum physics for one time. I literally, just the way he really understood it really well, and he was trying to explain it to me. And I just rejected it completely. I'm like, that's not real. That's like, you're making this up. I literally just totally, like, I couldn't understand it or wrap my head around it. So I just told him it wasn't real and he was making that up. And I'm like, oh, wow, how close-minded I was, because yeah,
Yeah.
that's a thing. And there's so much more built on that. If it's again, you're introduced stuff when you're ready for it. Right. So
When you're
maybe
ready.
that was just the seed planting and it has now blossomed into like
Right.
what I know and understand now. So.
Which also, like, we understand things when we're ready for it. So I think as the
Mhm.
collective, we're all starting to be really ready to understand, what energy healing is and how it works, and understanding that we're all intuitive and understanding what the clear senses are. Like, we're all like, this is the time because we are ready for it. This is the next part.
Exactly. And again, it all just, like I said in the part 1 of our episode, it goes to show, like, if you are a soul that is here on the planet right now, which, yes, if you're a human, you are a soul on this planet right now.
Yeah.
You're part of this greater collective mission. Like, it's a really special time to be living on this planet. We are doing some crazy stuff consciously and subconsciously. So, yeah, it's just all really interesting how everything's just part of this greater plan, right? So, okay. So we already basically halfway talked through claircognizance, but let's tie a little bow on it. So what is claircognizance? Because this one's super mysterious. It's not like I was born claircognizant, but to be honest with you, if you told me to teach someone how to be claircognizant, I would have no idea what to tell them. I'd be like, I just know, which is such a claircognizant answer, right? Like, I just know.
No, I had I just finished up a program with somebody who kind of struggled through the clairsentience. I do the clairsentience first, and then we go to voyance and then audient, and then we wrap it up with claircognizant, because claircognizant kind of like encompasses, like, you know, all of it. It's like how, like, you just know, whether you're seeing, hearing, feeling, or it's just a sense of knowing. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but, like, you know, a lot of people who are clairsentient may not be claircognizant or have like a strength in that, and vice versa. So with claircognizant, you know, it is a gut knowing. It's just a clear sense of knowing. You just know something is going to happen. You don't know how to explain it. You don't have to explain it. You just know, and that's just the way it is. You may not see it happening, right? You didn't hear it. You're not feeling it. You just know it. And
like
I think
accessing a memory, right?
Right. It's like accessing a memory. It's, you know, yeah, it's exactly it. And that's the part of the echo that, you know, it's like your future self had already experienced it, so you're now receiving it. But with claircognizant is that it goes kind of like under the radar, because you think that you just know it because you're either logical, right? And you're like, oh, I just know this is going to happen because this makes sense. Or, some people just don't, like, they just miss it. And it's like, because it's so part of them, it's so natural to them to be claircognizant. It's just, they think that's just part of them. And they don't understand that it's not, like, they're different in that way. It's like what I said about, you know, the clairvoyant. My whole life, I thought people see when they read. There's so many people out there that don't see anything when they're reading.
You know, I actually had a funny thought when you brought this up, was like, you know, I think a lot more people see than would care to admit, because, like, why else would 50 Shades of Grey had been such a popular book, you know? Like, why else was that one such a bestseller?
Witchy women reading that book.
Yeah. If you had thoughts or visions in your head reading that, you're a witch. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. But also, like, maybe they didn't see it plain, but maybe those words had, you know, that feeling.
They had an energy to them.
And that's what was fueling them flipping through the pages. So,
yeah,
as we all did.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah. And I didn't realize too, like, even when you and I were talking about, like, flipping through books and, like, being able to kind of, like, see what's happening, like, I had no idea that was indicative of, like, having natural clairvoyance or not, because I've been able to do that since I was a kid, and my whole life I've been like, I don't see stuff, like, I don't have the visions, whatever. But yeah, no, turns out I inherently do have that, because I've been, like, imagining stories my whole life. So
me too. Like, I'm the worst. Like, someone will be talking to me, and then, like, I'm listening to them, but I'm also watching it all play out in my mind's eye. And then I'm like, am I really listening to them? Like, am I in this, like, other world? Like, where I don't even know where I am half the time.
No, my husband's bad about that. Like, he misses a lot of, I'm very detail oriented, and he's, like, not detail oriented. So as he's telling me stuff, I'm trying to put it together in my mind's eye, and he leaves out so many crucial details sometimes that I'm like, hold on, wait, I need you to fill in this gap here and here. And he's like, and he'll tell it in kind of a backwards order. It's so funny, like, watching us communicate. communicate sometimes. We couldn't be more opposite in that way. But yeah, I am the same way. I like to put stuff together as people are talking. It just helps me like connect all the dots and like, I don't know, it almost like puts you in the moment with what they're saying so that you can understand it better. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
So, okay, well, that was the 4 Clairs that we were going to chat about. Kind of the last fun thing that we were going to chat about before we close this out today, Indra, was intuition versus these more like party tricks, you could say. So we talked about this last time we spoke of some intuitive abilities tend to connect us inward, like with ourselves, while others kind of connect us outward. I was curious if you could kind of explain that difference between the different Clairs that we talked about today.
Like what do you mean? Like how they
like claircognizant is helpful for me, but like it's not like fun. It's not a party trick. But clairvoyance is like, ooh, I can like see something. I can describe this to you. And you know, people get really excited about mediums in that way. So I guess like what's more helpful for people versus like in a day-to-day sense versus like a party trick sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, all the Clair senses are so helpful, and it's about learning, you know, how your guides communicate with you and how they want to share information with you. And it's always so fun. Like, you know, even claircognizance can be a party trick. You'd be like, you know, like I knew that was going to happen, and they're like, ooh, you know.
Oh yeah, they just call you a know-it-all.
Right. You know, but, you know, clairvoyance, yeah, it's, you know, when you see things and they're like, how did you see that? Right. Like, you know, when we're going, like when we're going astral traveling or doing that kind of work, you know, intuitive work, and we're really kind of going out there and we get to really get into the woo where we're, you know, going into different worlds, and also like, you know, like seeing past loved ones that come through and being able to describe them with details and, you know, and locations, right? So it's being able to like, you know, when you're connecting with a client and you say like, oh, you know, your family has a place, it's like on the water and there's a dock, and it's like, you know, you're describing it to them and they're like, oh my gosh, how is that possible? How do you see that? So it's like, but we all get our information in different ways, and you're probably more claircognizant than I am, you know, but I'm getting my information in a different way, and it's not like one's better than the other or one's more fun than the other. I mean, clairvoyant might be a little bit more confusing.
I don't know.
I'm not working in a shop. Maybe I am. But yeah, so it's all good. Every Clair sense is good. You'll have one, you might have two, you might have so many. But if it's just one, be okay with it. Like that's your little superpower. And you know, it's like we're all like working in like Marvel, right? And that's your superpower, and that's the one you have, and it's strong, and it helps you build self-trust, and it helps you move through your day and make your decisions independently and not have to feel that you have to outsource. And that's ultimately the reason why we have these
independence,
right? Because and this is why we have our intuition, so that we can lead a life moving forward without having to outsource every single thing, right? So we're using ourselves and our spirit team, who guides us and helps us along the way, sends us signs, sends us little messages, all the things, and this is how we communicate with them. Yes, it's fun. It's like, you know, like little, you know, party tricks, you know, what is it? There's like all these like mediums, right? They're like running through a grocery store and they're like, your grandfather died and he's in aisle 9, you know, and like all the things. And that's great and all. But ultimately these intuitive gifts, you know, they're about connecting with yourself. They're about healing, right? You know, if you lost your grandmother, and I'm saying, you know, oh, she's here with us and this, it brings a lot of completion and closure to that grief. So there are moments, where we use this for healing purposes and closure and, making decisions. But like, that's why I like to teach it, in my 8-week program. I love teaching this because I think it's so important that everyone knows that they have these gifts, and that they can all access it. And that's, I am no different than anybody else, and I can teach them how to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And do you want to talk a little bit more about your 8-week program while we close things out today, and like what people that want to do that with you can expect to get out of that program?
So I have worked with a wide range of everybody, from somebody who has intuitive abilities already to somebody who doesn't, but they're interested in it. And they're interested in it because their guides, their higher selves, their inner knowing has tapped them on the shoulder. And like, if you have curiosity to something, there's a connection to it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a reason why you're curious about somebody or something. There's an attraction to it. There's a connection. So I will go through 8 weeks of teaching how to call in your energy. I work with them. We unblock and, take off all the gunk. And I teach them how to call in their energy, teach them how to hold the energy, work with the energy. And when you're working with the energy, when you're in that place and your frequency is moving up higher, you're calling in that intuition, and the intuition activates and it strengthens within you. And so your natural clair senses will go online. And if it's not clairsentience, it very well could be clairvoyance, audience, or cognizance, or maybe you're hitting all of them. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny. A lot of the people in my program are always so blown away because we do all of these weeks of the clair senses. We're moving week to week to week, and by week 7, I'm teaching them how to connect with past loved ones. And they're like, that's not possible. Like, I'm not a medium. I'm like, oh, just you wait, hold on. And by week 7, they're connecting with a past loved one. And by week 8, we're either astral traveling or we're connecting with a past life and getting answers from a past life, or, going into the Akashic records. And I do like a little one-on-one intro into the Akashic records for them. And they're able to do all of it, and they're so blown away. But most importantly, I'm realizing that within this program, after they take it, they start trusting themselves more, and they start trusting their decisions more and in the way that they live. And when you trust yourself, you're really falling into alignment. You're not looking at somebody to answer for you or to make a decision for you, because ultimately you're living by their decision, by what they think is best. You're not living by what you feel is best. Right. And when you can listen to your own intuition and trust it, then you start living in a life that is yours. Yeah. And that's the beauty. Right.
Absolutely. And I can attest to that. Like, I know your 8-week program is brand new, so I haven't been through it, but as just somebody who's tried to intentionally connect with my intuition more, and in an effort to like live in my highest aligned life, I can't say I ever identified as having like these types of abilities. Like, intuition was like a buzzword to me my whole life. It wasn't like a thing. And it's really amazed me how much I've been able to, with just intention, just in the last year of my life, like kind of practice and work on these different types of receiving information from, the universe through my intuition. Like it comes together so quickly, and it is very natural, and it kind of is, it's crazy at first, especially if you're like me and you didn't identify with it at all. You're like, what? Like, yeah. I don't know about this, but no, it's all real, and it's definitely something, if anyone's interested in doing, like, you can learn how to do this stuff, and it's your birthright. Like, it's absolutely natural inside of you already. It's just waiting to literally be awakened, right? So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's already in us. We're living it every day. It's in us. Mm-hmm. We've just been so conditioned over the years not to trust it, mm-hmm. And I encourage this with my daughter every day. And my mom did too. Looking back on it, she was so funny. She was just like, you know, you got to listen to your gut, you know. And she named this little voice. She named him Fred. And she was like, what does Fred say? You know, you got to listen to Fred. And it was like she wanted me to really connect with my claircognizance. It's like, what does your gut say? What do you know already?
That's
And
amazing.
you got to connect with Fred. And and looking back on it, I was like, oh my gosh, my mom. But she was so right, you know. And we thought that she was so funny at the time, but she was so right, and she was teaching us, you know, how to do that in her own way without.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would my highest self like say in this moment? Or you can, Fred is a much cuter way of putting that. But yeah, it's like if I had no ego, if it was all stripped away and I knew the answer, what would it be? Right. So,
Right.
well, Indra, if before I let you go, I'd like to just leave my listeners with like a small piece of something tangible that they can take home and practice. What is like one small way you would recommend that someone can start building that trust in their intuition like today?
Okay. Well, guides are showing me something very clearly. Okay, so to sit with yourself, you can either turn on a little bit of music, maybe something that doesn't have words, but you know, something that is instrumental, something that will take you out of your own head and drop you into a space, and just sit with yourself. Close your eyes and take it, you know, an inhale in through the nose and then exhaling out through the mouth. You can, and when you exhale out through the mouth, you drop your jaw, and when you drop your jaw, you drop your shoulders, and just allow yourself to start dropping into your body, and do that a few times until you feel really grounded in your body. Then I want you to imagine yourself standing into a field, and you see your higher self, a version of you, coming towards you. And if you don't see it, it's okay. You can, you know, listen to your words and ask your higher self, what guidance do you have for me today? And just be still and allow for whatever comes in any way that it comes in, whether it's a sense of feeling, it's a sense of a knowing, maybe it's one word, or maybe you see something, whichever way it comes in, just allow it to come in and trust it. And let it be, and say thank you. Inhale
Just
in,
don't forget the thank you.
out, say thank you, and just take that guidance with you for the day. Another thing that we talked about, you know, which is so fun, is asking for signs. So asking your guides for signs. So, hey, grandma, if you're around, and you know, show me this, you know, and have her show you something, you know. Or if, hey, guides, am I in the right path? Show me a sign that I'm on the right path, and have them show you a sign. But, you know, maybe it's not coming in 30 seconds, maybe it takes 5 days, but you just allow it to happen. But on top of it, actually, on my website, if you go to indrakelly.com and you subscribe, I have a free 10-minute energy healing meditation, so that they can download from that too.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, that is perfect explanation on how to do all of that and something very simple that anybody can do. So thank you so much for that, Indra. And with that too, I was going to mention, yes, Indra, all of the information that you need to connect with her is going to be in the show notes. She has also graciously included a discount for some of her services. The explanation is in the show notes there as well. For all the listeners today, that will go through, I believe she so kindly extended that through June. And so that was so nice of her. So yes, if you are looking to expand your intuitive abilities and you just want a little bit more guidance there, Indra is, I can attest, she is just so intuitive. She's amazing. She's very warm. I love her energy. Can't advocate enough for her. So Indra, I just want to say thank you again for sharing your time and your energy with me today and speaking through this. I think this is going to be very helpful for people who are like early on or even like in the middle of, you know, developing their intuitive abilities on that journey. And so thank you so much for offering your time and your insight today. I can't thank you enough.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
It's so fun, right? It's just so fun.
I know. I never get bored of talking about this stuff. So
no, neither do I. And I love teaching too. I love it.
Amazing. Well, Indra, thank you again and have a beautiful rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.